Week 17 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I look to buy and trade for with the trade deadlines in most fantasy leagues coming up today. The first guy, Noah Syndergaard of the Philadelphia Phillies. So the Phillies traded for Syndergaard last week, and so far it's been a rocky first few starts here for him. One good one and one decent one on the season. 91 innings, 6-8 record, complete game, 92 hits, 40 runs, 24 walks, 70 Ks, 6 quality starts, a 3.96 ERA, and a 1.27 whip. But over the last few weeks here for Syndergaard, 11 innings, got a win, complete game, 17 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, and a quality start with a 4.91 ERA and a 1.27 whip. So right here, the complete game he pitched was a rain-shortened ball game for Syndergaard, where it only went 5 innings, and not really a complete game in that one. So Noah here, he had to get out of Los Angeles. They were one of the worst teams over the last few months of the season here. Going to Philadelphia, I think, is a good landing spot for him, even though I know that NL East has great teams like the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves who can hit the baseball. But this Philly team's been on fire as well, winning 10 out of 11 ball games. So the last few games here for Syndergaard, July 25th, 5 2/3, got the loss, 6 hits, a run, 2 walks, 6 Ks in that one. August 4th versus Washington, 5 innings, got the win. The complete game, like I mentioned, since it was a rain-shortened game, 11 hits though, 4 runs, 2 Ks in that ball game. And then August 10th versus the Marlins, 6 innings in that one, no decisions, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks of quality starts. So Syndergaard, only 1 quality start since the beginning of June here for him, which obviously isn't a great thing at all, but I think he could be good on this Philly team. I know it's a small ballpark and a couple tough teams in the division, but I just like that he's familiar with that NL East, with all those seasons he spent with the New York Mets, even though he did miss the last 2 seasons here. But a 4th starter over there in Philly, I think it was a good move for Philly. And a guy who's going to get riled up if he does verse the Mets, who the Phillies do verse them 6 more times within the next week here. The next guy's Mikolas of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Mikolas, after the last few seasons, he was banged up with arm injuries and Tommy John, I believe he had. He's come back this season. He was good for the first few months. Then he's been up and down ever since. On the season, 141 and a third, 8-9 record, a complete game, 127 hits, 55 runs, 27 walks, 108 Ks, 15 quality starts, at 3.50 ERA, 1.09 whip. But over the last 2 weeks here for Mikolas, he's been getting ripped up. 16 innings, 1-1 record, 28 hits, 15 earned runs, 2 walks, 12 Ks, 2 quality starts, an 8.44 ERA, and a 1.88 whip. So right now, his bad ball game was August 9th at Colorado, where he got totally torched, was Mikolas. So the last few outings here for him, July 29th at Washington, 7 innings, got the win, 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 4 Ks, a quality start. August 4th versus the Cubs, 6 1/3, no decision, 8 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 6 Ks, a quality start. And then August 9th at the Rockies, 2 2/3, got the loss, 14 hits, 10 earned runs, 2 Ks in that one. So right now, that game really did his ERA in. And that one, I think it's a ball game that you just wash away here and he'll bounce back. Obviously, it was in Coors Field. Rockies, they've been starting to hit the baseball well, but this Cardinal team's playing great baseball as well. And Mikolas, it's a bad game, but right now, since he got ripped in that ball game, I think you get him on a little bit of discount. And he's definitely a pitcher I would want on my fantasy team in the stretch run here. Right now, I think you got to give up a decent bat for him, but his value's definitely dropped off, especially after getting tagged in that last game. So I like Mikolas as a guy that can help your fantasy team and a guy that could be a decent starter for the Cardinals if they make the playoffs this postseason. Next guy's Logan, Gilbert of the Seattle Mariners. Gilbert, early in the season, he was a guy I was saying to sell high because he was pitching over his head, and now things have balanced and leveled out here for him. On the season, 132 1/3, 10-5 record, 126 hits, 51 runs, 37 walks, 122 Ks, 10 quality starts at 3.47 ERA, 1.23 whip. But over the last few weeks here, he's been getting hit big time is Gilbert, 15 1/3, 0-1 record, 22 hits, 15 runs, 7 walks, 10 Ks, a quality start, 8.80 ERA, and a 1.89 whip. So right here, those numbers aren't good at all here for Logan Gilbert. Maybe he's hitting the wall a little bit here. 2nd season in the league, and he's went to uncharted waters, pitching over 130 innings this season, where last season, 119, he pitched. So right now, this team is playing well, this Seattle Mariners team. They just beat the Yankees, and I think in the 6 games they versed them. 4 or 5 games they versed them. So Gilbert here, he had 2 matchups versus the Yankees, which obviously isn't easy. They're still one of the best teams in the league, even though they've been on a tailspin of late. July hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, a quality start. August 2nd at the Yankees, 5 in the third. 7 hits, 6 runs, 4 walks, 2 Ks. And August 8th versus the Yankees, 4 innings, got the loss. 10 hits, 7 runs, a walk, 2 Ks. So right here, the Yankees got his number, no doubt about it. But the good news is Gilbert's not going to verse the Yankees unless, obviously, they verse him in the playoffs. Their series with the Yankees are done this season. And he pitches in a weak division besides the Houston Astros. Texas, their team that really hasn't done much this season. The Angels, we know they've been a free-falling team after the first month of the season, and they've been pretty bad. So right there in Oakland, they just got nobody, really. So Logan Gilbert, he's got the tough outings out of the way versus the Yankees, and I think he could get back on track. And his next outing is August 14th at the Texas Rangers, who I think he could take care of business against. So right now, with the last few ball games being a struggle here for Gilbert, I think you could go out there and you give up a mediocre hitter, nothing crazy, to get him on your roster. And I think he can help fantasy owners. But there's also a possibility he did hit the wall here, going 130 innings this season. But I think it's more that the Yankees just have as his matchup, and obviously they're a tough team to verse this season. The next guy's Pablo López on the Miami Marlins. So on the season, 123 and 2/3, 7-7 record, 107 hits, 49 runs, 37 walks, 125 Ks, a 3.57 ERA, a 1.16 whip, and 8 quality starts on the season. But the last few weeks here for López has been a mighty struggle. 7 2/3, 0-2 record, 21 hits, 10 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 11.74 ERA, and a 3 whip. So right here, I know he's in a tough division in the NL East. But the funny thing is here, it was the Cubs who did damage to him. And obviously the New York Mets, that one game. So July 26th at Cincy, 7 innings, got the win. 2 hits, a run, 11 Ks, a quality start. July 31st versus the Mets, 2 2/3, got the loss. 12 hits, 6 runs, a strikeout in that one. And August 6th at the Cubs, 5 innings, got the loss. 9 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. So López, hopefully he gets back on track here for fantasy owners. But right now, if I'm looking to get a pitcher at the deadline, with the deadline today or tomorrow in most fantasy leagues, this is a time to go get him, because López is too good of a pitcher to be putting up these poor numbers like he has over the last few weeks. And I know he's got a tough matchup tomorrow versus the Atlanta Braves. But right now, after the last 2 games, he's had bad performances. You get him on a discount, and maybe another starter you trade for him, or even a decent bat like a third outfielder or even a second baseman or something, I think could scoot López in the deal. López is a good pitcher. This Marlins team, the one thing I know about them, they got good young pitchers, and López is definitely one of them. And if you could get him on your roster to be your 3rd or 4th pitcher, I think he could be pretty decent and definitely help you. I know he's in a tough division, and I know he's struggling, but he's a talented pitcher, and just the last 2 outings, he's been rattled as López. Maybe the trade rumors got to him, but obviously he didn't get traded, and he stayed with the Marlins. And the final pitcher I look to buy and trade for is Josh Hader of the San Diego Padres. So Hader, he got traded in a surprising deal the day before the deadline from the Brew Crew right here to the Padres. And this season, it's been a bad one for Hader for the most part. 36 2/3, 2-4 record, 29 saves though, 28 hits, 19 runs, 15 walks, 63 strikeouts, 3 blown saves, a 4.66 ERA, and a 1.17 whip. But over the last few weeks here for him, 3 2/3, got a win, a save, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 7 Ks, a blown save. And the last month of the season where he's really been poor, 8 innings, 2-2 record, 3 saves, 12 hits, 13 earned runs, 5 walks, 14 Ks, 2 blown saves, a 14.63 ERA in the last month, and a 2.13 whip. But Hader, I think he's going to get things going. And this Padre team, they're going to take some time. A lot of people saying, oh, the Padres traded for all these guys, Soto, Drury, Josh Bell, and Hader, and they're struggling and not getting the job done right now after getting swept by the Dodgers. But I think it takes a little bit of time for these guys to acclimate to their new teams, and that's what it's going to be, because if I'm a National League team and I got to verse this lineup in San Diego, it's not going to be a walk in the park. And this San Diego team definitely has what it takes to make the World Series, in my opinion, here. So Josh Hader, he just has to get his things together. He's got to go inning by inning, and I think he's going to do that and right the ship and turn things around. So after he's had a bad month of the season here, and the Padres are off to a slow start since they made the trade for all these guys here, this would be a time to get Hader. I know I'm not a big closer guy if you've been watching the channel for a few seasons here, but Hader is definitely a guy I know has great stuff and could go on and tear where he's unhittable, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities with this lineup and the way this Padre team's built. So that's a few pitchers I look to buy and trade for Week 17 of the fantasy baseball season, right before the deadline in most fantasy leagues this week.